Welcome back to We Like That podcast.
Because we like that. Hello, everybody. I am Jasmine Crockett.
And I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene. And you got some big ass eyelashes here in the fucking Congress.
You darn nabbit. You make it sound like Yosemite Sam.
Guess she does. Rootin' tootin'. I'm Calvin.
I'm Joe.
Pretty much, we're back again. One more time. So,
What are we talking about this week?
today we'll be talking about Hoochie Daddies, Love During Lockup, and Love in Paradise,
All right.
episode 4. But first, we're going to give you the good goods of the week because a lot happened in these internet and Twitter streets. So it's time for that segment. That happened with Joe.
Okay. First off, Childish Gambino dropped a full album, Alta Vista, but it started with his single, Littlefoot, Bigfoot. And it's been a very interesting conversation seeing this back and forth, especially around people who are non-black looking at it. Very interesting.
What are their takes on it?
At first, they were like, they think their take is that the meaning behind his song, because this is an upbeat song with very sad lyrics attached to it, is that like it's all traumatic. It's all related to like black trauma and how you can't have black joy without black trauma. And it's other people being like, not necessarily. If they think it's more about how Hollywood presents black joy when in comparison to black trauma. Hollywood feels you can't have black joy without black trauma, because the gist of this is how they are performing and how the black audience they're performing for is like, what is this? At the beginning of it, they just staring at him while he does all his stuff. And then stuff kicks off, some violence happens. And then they're kind of like, okay, all right. All we can do is laugh. There's going to be situations that happen. All we can do is laugh. My major takeaways from this was I love the shout out to Cap Calloway and the Nicholas brothers. They come from 2 different time periods in Black Hollywood. They're not part of the same time period. So I really liked that. This juke joint, black and white callback to that golden era of cinema, allegedly. Not a lot of people know that there's a lot of black film that came out of that as well. And what I really liked was the end where there's this giant rapper sitting outside of the juke joint with another giant dancer. And their lyrics also don't really match the tone of everything else that's happening. What did you think?
I think somebody was trying to steal Gucci Mane's voice.
Oh, okay.
That's about it for me.
Okay. Did you think this was a creative plight by Childish Gambino?
I think he's found his niche after This Is America, and that's what he's sticking to now.
So I've been a fan of Donald Glover since Community, which was the TV show he was on. But if you've read any interviews or articles around this man, you know that he is kind of contentious. It's hard. He's kind of an elitist asshole also. So it's very interesting enjoying his art, but also not really liking the person that's behind the art. So I just find it very interesting because I do enjoy this thought piece of his. And at the same time, I also know that like he's not going to give nobody any answers, any interviews and stuff around this are not they're not going to fill in any blanks. He refuses to do any of that. So it's very interesting. Moving on, I am going to jump around a little bit. I'm going to talk about the Cal Mitchell and Club Shay Shay interview that happened. Shannon Sharp did something a little different for this interview. He introduced a musical artist at the beginning and end of the interview. And it was Ty
Trippett?
Yep.
That's why Ty Trippett face was showing up?
Yeah. They have him as a musical guest, and he does a song at the very beginning. And then they do like this weird interview right after he sings the song. That's kind of all over the place.
I don't understand why we're doing that.
At first, I was like, I don't get this either.
No, it's because Ty Tribbett is a gospel artist.
Yeah, but it actually ties into Kel's interview. At first, you're like, what is this? But as you get into Kel's interview, it makes sense. It kind of goes along with the interview.
So, was it Kel that asked for this?
I don't think so.
I think this is how he wanted it set up.
I agree. But I think he was trying to align it with a theme because a lot of Kel's interview is about how like he kind of really got lost in the sauce of the Hollywood shuffle
I th-
and came through it with God and his family.
I do believe this is what Kel kind of wanted, or they agreed to do. Because there's
He
no
didn't
way.
even know who Ty Tribbett was. Like he gets introduced to him during it. He has no idea who this person is.
I'm pretty sure he knows Ty Tribbett is.
I think it's Shannon. I think Shannon's trying to set up Club Shay Shay to be like a talk show, like a late night show.
Sure. I'm just saying.
Because
no,
Shannon knew exactly who
there-
Ty Tribbett was.
There's no way Kel Mitchell don't know who Ty Tribbett is. There's if he's gospel like he say he is.
He didn't say he was gospel. He just said that he was close to God. It doesn't necessarily mean he's all in the gospel circles.
Okay. Ty Tribbett is one of the biggest gospel artists.
Oh, and Shannon knows that, which is
Not only
more
that,
to my point that I think this was all set up by
he
Shannon
does
Sharp.
a lot of gospel music that's catered to younger people.
Which again, more to my point that this is all set up by Shannon Sharp because he has him at the beginning and end of this interview.
Oh, okay. But I'm still saying Kel had to agree to something.
I think he agreed to do the interview because he had no idea who this person was because they get introduced. He has this whole thing where Shannon has him introduce the whole band and everything, and Kel's sitting here like, okay, all right, like just
He
like,
could have
all
been
right.
sitting there like, okay, all right, but he knew.
I don't think Ty Tribbett being there was a contingent in Kel Mitchell doing the interview for Shannon Sharp.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think he had to agree with how it's gonna. Maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? Anywho, sure.
Anywho, so he does the interview. Shannon Sharp performs exactly how you think he's going to perform because he's not a journalist. But Kel carries that conversation, and he does a very good job of it. He does a very good job of talking his before being in Nickelodeon, while he was in Nickelodeon, what happened after Nickelodeon for him. He does a very good job of telling this story. The biggest takeaways for me was that he almost took his own life, which is insanely scary. He says he heard a voice tell him not to jump off the balcony, and he knows it's God. Now, then he wasn't in the right headspace to really accept what was going on, but now he knows that it's definitely God stopping him from committing this act.
Could have been a neighbor that was seen as dumb behind out there and said something.
Also possible, but who's to say God didn't put that neighbor there? So anyway, he also talks about how like he was trying to move on from being seen as like this little kid actor, and through he thought he was on the way to becoming like an adult actor with Mystery Men. Do you remember what Mystery Men is?
Yes, the dumb superhero movie where they had dumb superpowers.
Right, but if you look at the cast for Mystery Men, it's stacked. Like these are known names, so I could see how he thought he was on a trajectory to work towards more serious, or at least more adult-oriented film. But that is not what happened. Mystery Men actually tanked at the box office. He got married mad young. He was married while they were shooting Kenan and Kel.
So they were in their 20s when they were doing Kenan and Kel.
They were. They were in their 20s.
But they supposed to be 15-year-olds.
Right, they were supposed to be teenagers in high school.
And you wonder why stars end up messing with kids all the time.
Oh, okay. He talks about what kicked off him and Kenan being put as a duo in all that. Do you remember their Cletus and is it Maeve? You remember the old men characters they used to play?
Sure.
I forget what, because they used to say it at the end of every episode. I forget what their names were. It's Cletus and something.
I have no idea.
I want to say Mavis. Anyway, they did that. They had a skit where they had to play these old man characters, and their synchronicity was just so on point. Nothing was scripted. They were both just going at it off hip, and it just worked so well. So they were like, oh, you could be the next Abbott and Costello, blah, blah, blah. So they move forward as being a comedy duo, and it just takes off when the two of them get together and shoot anything. It just really works well because their personalities, their energy, the talent that they bring to the table, all of it really works well together. But he also talks about how like he got big into drugs and he was in this toxic relationship with this woman who was stepping outside of their relationship a lot. He was under the impression for a very long time that the children that they had together were his, and it turned out it was not his children. But then later he ends up having having kids with her. But then with the drug issues and them breaking up, he doesn't say she weaponized the kids against him, but it's heavily implied that she weaponized the kids against him because he says he would make efforts to try to like stay in their lives and visit them, and she would block him. She would stop him from coming to see him.
Is that her fault or his fault?
Uh,
Why would you mess with her after she cheated on you and had a bunch of other kids?
he was young and in love. He
No,
admits it,
he
like
was dumb.
well he wasn't in a good space. So and he wasn't recognizing like what was good for him, what wasn't. So he talks about all of that. He even takes accountability at like how at first he could see why his ex-wife wouldn't want him around the kids because he was barely around them for work and everything else. But also like he didn't understand why when he was making like good intentioned effort to see the kids that she was blocking him. But she was also going through her own stuff. It gets to a point, it hits a point where he puts out a video on his socials, like around 2018. It's titled Something Fathers, but basically it's his speech about how he wants to be a good dad to his kids. And if he gets the opportunity to be able to talk to his kids again, he would love to. And he posts all of that out on his socials because it's the only way he could possibly get in contact with his kids at this point. That takes off, that goes viral. Shortly after that, he gets a call from law enforcement. His wife and her boyfriend at the time are both about to be put away for a minute, for a while. And the kids are about to go into the system unless he wants to take these kids that are biologically his. He finds out that they have siblings that are also staying at the house with them. So it's four. It's the two that are biologically his and then two that are not. And he actually creates like a I want to say like a comfortable relationship with the boyfriend. The boyfriend actually reaches out to him and is like, "Hey, this is what's going down. Can you take the kids?" And like all everything else that's going on. It takes a minute because they also have to get the mom on board. And at first she doesn't want to, but then eventually she relents and is like, "Okay, yes, if you could take care of all the kids, that'd be great." And he does. He steps up and takes care of all of the children while they're doing their legal stuff or whatever it is that they got to do. And he basically raises these four kids on his own. Then they get out, and the other two kids go back to, I think, either the mom or the dad. So now he just has his biological children. But the whole time, Shannon Sharp is like freaking out that Kel would step up and raise kids that aren't his. It's very interesting. And then in the meanwhile, Kel talks about how like he's still just trying to work. He's trying to work, do his thing. I didn't know him and Keenan had the same audition for SNL. They both had the same audition for SNL. But he talks about how like he was not in a good place to really put forward his best effort for that SNL audition. And Keenan was, and he ended up getting it. And how like they had their little falling out, they stopped talking to each other. He's like, a lot of people are under the impression that like we were best friends since we were little kids. And he's like, I mean, we're friendly and we definitely talk to each other a lot, but we worked together. It wasn't necessarily like a huge friendship. So, I mean, it's become a friendship now, but it wasn't like that back then. And he talks about how him and Keenan talk like almost every day now. It was a nice, actually a very nice interview, mostly led by Kel Mitchell.
So let me see. So Kale, you said you was in uh uh Kale, Keenan and Kale. How was that growing up doing that show with Keenan and Kale?
That's exactly how that went. That's exactly. Oh, and he brought out orange soda. So there was that.
So do you still like orange soda?
That's exactly what he said. That's exactly what
Do
he
you still
said.
like orange soda? So I remember back there, Skip, when you was doing orange soda. I remember you like orange soda a lot.
That's exactly what he did.
That was some of
That's
the
exactly what
that
he
was
did.
some of the best acting and all stuff I saw ever in my life before.
Before.
So you know they did the thing with Nickelodeon. How do you feel about that and what happened? Were you there when anything happened? Do you remember anything, Spy Skip? I'm sorry, Keenan. Sorry. I mean, Kale. I'm sorry. Mixed up. Sorry.
You didn't say any of that, but you got the
Sorry, my
accent down.
notes.
But you got the accent down. But yeah, so I thought it was pretty good. Moving into Bumble's celibacy ad that was Terrible. Bumble took out a bunch of. They had a marketing campaign where they had these billboards up that were saying things like, "You know full well a vow of celibacy is not the answer. Uh, thou
True.
shalt not give up on dating and become a nun."
True.
Like just a lot of trolling and clowning around women making the choice to abstain from sex. Bumble is a dating app. On top of that, Bumble is supposed to be like a women's focused dating app, meaning like they reach out first. It didn't go well. There was a lot of backlash against it. There's been a lot of conversations around the 4B movement that's happening in South Korea, as well as a growing movement in the States of women abstaining from having sex with their partners, um, mostly for the autonomy of their own bodies, especially out here in the United States. There's a lot of laws that are being flipped where women aren't in control of their reproduction for their own bodies. So, they're taking their stance of being like, okay, let me cool things down a little bit. And Bumble put this out and it did not go well. So,
Seems like there'll be a lot of women lonely in the club, having a good old time with themselves, standing around pocketbooks and dancing in circles now, huh?
there's a conversation around the hard alternative right
You're gonna have to pay for all your drinks now, huh?
about how important it is for men and women to get together to procreate. There is a constant conversation, apparently, for the alt right that white people numbers are going down. So they need white people to have the babies
It
because
sound
they're
like
about to be outnumbered by us minorities.
sound like that's a white person problem. Maybe talk to him like you got some damn sense. You won't have to worry about it.
Well,
Moving on.
I mean, it touches in on Harrison Butker, which we can also talk about. Harrison Butker did his commencement speech at a private Catholic school a couple days ago, and there was backlash, but not by the school. The school loved it. The school ate it up. They loved his speech.
Cause that's like
It's a private Catholic college,
yeah, it's a Catholic college.
and he's Catholic. But yeah, he covered topics like homemaking, being anti-LGBTQIA, men needing to be men.
There's a Benedict College in South Carolina.
Okay, that's really random. So
I'm trying to figure out what is this. Is this in like Kansas City or somewhere?
I have no idea where this school is, nor does it
Okay.
matter. So
It. I just wanted to know.
you have a computer, you can Google this. Harrison Butker is a kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. And for whatever reason, has a hard stance in right wing politics, a hard one. Oh, he also went after Biden for his choice to force people to vaccinate for COVID, which he didn't do, but whatever. So it's just really funny. It's hit the internet. The internet is the rest of the world is the people that were like, this commencement speech is not making sense, especially his whole speech about homemaking. He basically talks about how like his wife's life didn't start until she started popping out these babies for him, and accepting her role as popping out babies for him.
Oh, could it be that he made it to the NFL? That's why she decided to sit there and pop out babies and stay home.
That's what a lot of people are saying. Like it's real easy to say women need to be homemakers, but a lot of people don't who live in the real world and this economy can't afford to do that. They can't afford to have a single income source like that and try to raise these huge multitudinous families he wants them to have.
Well, he gonna have to make a decision about her going back to work when he get released by Kansas City.
So Kansas City has not responded at all to any of this stuff that he did. They haven't responded whatsoever. The NFL did, the brand did, saying that they are all about diversity and inclusion. They do not agree with his speech, but also at the same time acknowledging that, First Amendment rights, freedom of speech. He's allowed to say whatever he wants to say.
Because they agree with him behind closed doors.
Well, that's probably
Number
true.
one. Number two, trust me, let him miss one field goal, one extra point, and he's gone.
Well, so there's a lot of comparisons about Harrison versus homeboy from the 49ers that got cut. What's his face? You know who I'm talking
The
about?
quarterback?
Yeah, the quarterback who would kneel for the flag.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
That guy. But they're talking about that. You had a guy who was standing up for like black rights and being very vocal in his politics, and he gets pushed out of the league. And now you've got Harrison Butker, who apparently this is not the first time he said some very conservative alt right type things, and he's still living free to be a kicker.
Because those are the people who are watching.
That's the other thing. So I was watching other people's commentary on it, talking about how misogynistic it was and all that. This one girl who works in PR, who works in public relations, talks about how like she wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City never talks about this because it secures their fans. They are already in a very conservative red state. And right now, Travis Kelce is running a lot of the conversation because he's dating Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce has come out to be very liberal. Taylor Swift has said that she's very liberal, which could possibly alienate their more conservative fan base. Having Harrison do what he's doing kind of secures that fan base. So they have a little bit of everything, apparently.
So let him miss a couple of field goals and some extra points. Trust me.
Apparently he's good at what he does. Apparently he's good at kicking.
For now. Because they score a lot of touchdowns.
It's very interesting to me.
He doesn't have to kick a lot of field goals.
There's also a lot of rumors that he may have gone to conversion therapy camps that were run by the Pences. He might be
anybody
in a glass closet situation.
Anybody who's that gun-ho about anything, more than a lot of times are part of that scenario.
So anybody who's that loudly against something, you said more than likely they're already participating in that same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is the call is coming from inside the house business.
So
very interesting. I just love the gays tearing this man down. It's so funny. It's so funny. The things that they are clocking and then talking about. It's hysterical.
For some reason, I don't know why people forget the internet exists when they do crazy stuff.
Especially since he's young. He's 28.
And then when the internet gets them, they remember.
It's just funny because it kicked off when this Duke golfer talked about, that's interesting. Weren't you messing around with a male cheerleader back in Georgia Tech? Wasn't that a thing? Okay, interesting. So very interesting. Oh, and also pointing out that his mom is a celebrated physicist. This is a woman who has a doctorate, several doctorates. Very interesting. But there's also conversation around how just because she has these doctorates doesn't necessarily mean that she leans liberal. She could also be super conservative and agrees with his sentiment that being a homemaker is the prize.
But
and the like.
That doesn't make any sense. But then again, you don't have to make sense when you on that side.
That's very true.
You just have to feel like you're right.
Right. And it doesn't matter how you get there. Very true. And then last but not least, DJ Academics. DJ Academics is being sued for defamation and rape for an incident that happened around July of 2022 in regards to a woman who went to go visit him and allegedly was drugged and then assaulted by several people at Academic's house, including DJ Academic himself.
Two other people. You said several.
There were 3 guys there.
I thought there were only 2.
No. They talk about the 2 actions because those.
I thought there were 2. They didn't know what DJ Academics was at, and then when the lights came on, he appeared like a vampire.
No, the lights had been on. Then she went outside to the hot tub, and that's when all the other stuff went down. One of the guys was feeding her alcohol. The other 2 is when they start talking about John Doe 1 and John Doe 2. But there were 3 guys present. In addition to
so 2
DJ
guys
Academics.
did something, the other guy just
he might not have sexually assaulted her, but he plied her with the drinks. So he may have collaborated. So, but it's a civil lawsuit that's going on around this. What got me about this particular case is, one, it's being handled by the same lawyer that's handling the other Diddy cases. Very interesting. The overwhelming amount of evidentiary support this lady has. The text messages. I don't know if you got a chance to actually read those text messages.
No, I don't want, because he's stupid. He literally told her what they did to her.
Yeah, and it's in the text messages. He actually puts them in writing.
As soon as I saw that, I told her, this isn't the first time he did this. He's done this before. Because the boldness of him being able to literally told her that we raped you. And showing her the evidence of them doing such thing.
But according to him, it wasn't rape. Even though they're doing it without her consent and she's clearly passed out, he thinks it was just a fun time. Like she wouldn't have been there if she didn't want it. Kind of a thing. Which is why his counter argument is, if I did anything against the law, I would have been snapped up, which is not true.
It's amazing how, which leads you to believe these are dudes who don't have the ability to get women. They needed to they need to rely on their money to be able to be attractive to women and
Mm.
pick up women. Now they got the money. Now they feel like they have to get back in some form of way. So now they like to have, I don't know what type of, I guess it's a power play or something.
I can't help but think if this is a cultural thing
It's cultural for what?
of being in entertainment. If this is something that they also learn while being in entertainment, you can do whatever you want.
Uh, Maybe that's it.
Because that, like you've said, this is not the first time we've heard of a celebrity being involved in something like this. So I can't help but wonder how corrupted the entertainment industry is as a whole.
I've hung with overly drunk girls who were so drunk they were throwing up.
You said nothing. There's nothing attractive about that.
No, took her home, dropped her off,
Right,
made sure she got in her house.
right. Don't
It's-
suffocate on your own vomit type situations. Yeah,
Pretty much enrolled out.
yeah.
I'm not trying to have no.
But like you mentioned before, it is absolutely a power play. It's a I can definitely do this because there's no I make my own rules, and you came here with that understanding. So this is on you, kind of a thing.
I don't. Maybe I'm just. I don't trip.
Here's what I don't understand: why you would then basically just give her all this evidence.
That's the irony of the
That's
whole
the
situation.
part I don't get.
I don't understand.
Were you that secure in thinking that you weren't going to get caught up in this? That you were like, yeah, let me show you the videotapes that I have.
So when we were watching or looking at something, going over this, and you were like, "Oh, so what you gonna say now?" And I was saying some of the stuff I was saying. You were like, "Oh, so you're trying to say?" I'm like, "No." I'm like,
You
I
said,
don't.
why didn't she leave? Because usually you go into a nice little
But
speech about how the victim brought this on
let's start there.
themselves.
She walks to the door. She's thinking it's gonna be one person. There's another dude and
There's
another
three
dude.
dudes.
There's three
Yeah.
dudes sitting there.
Yeah,
She's expecting nobody else.
right.
I'm just saying, as a woman, I'd be like, you know what? Something ain't right. Ain't no other females in here. Ain't like y'all having a party. Nah, tell so and so I'll come back later when he's back.
My thing is though, the fact that your initial reaction is that as a woman she has to be like super hyper aware speaks to rape culture. It speaks to this ideology that men are capable of doing this instead of trying to correct that behavior and being like,
You
let's not do it.
Here's the point.
Let's
You
not.
can't. For every man that you tell not to do, there's gonna be some dude that's gonna be like, "Fuck it, I'm doing it anyway."
But what
You
I'm
can't
saying
stop.
is,
So my thing is,
she's hanging out with a celebrity who more than likely has a revolving entourage. More than likely, he's got somebody at that house all the time. So I don't begrudge her for going there, being surprised that these people are here, but not necessarily being like, let me
but
leave.
she said it herself. Normally they're by themselves.
Okay, but I also don't begrudge her for thinking, oh, okay, well, he's probably going to be here soon.
I'm not
It's
saying.
broad daylight. It's
I'm-
not evening or anything.
I'm not
She's like,
saying.
oh.
But you're going. I'm not saying that it was her fault. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, some things are just like sometimes your spider sense just tingles.
But the other thing is, even if your spider sense tingles, it doesn't mean it's going to save you. Like, even if she was like, she got there and hung out with them for a little bit and then was like, I'm uncomfortable, let me leave. There's no telling that they would have let her leave.
But that's neither here or there.
That's neither here nor there.
The
The fact that
fa-
she got assaulted is absolutely a detail. All of this shoulda, coulda, woulda, what she should have done to prevent it, that's neither here nor there.
But so, like I said, the fact that he just casually sent her everything.
Because he felt that he didn't do anything. I think he honestly felt him taking control of her body like that was not out of character.
And then being shocked.
him tweeting that his house got raided because of this allegation, that is insane.
And being shocked.
But
that
also
something
them
happened.
finding stuff. So here's my other question though. They found that he threw away a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
She did the rape kit, which usually opens up the investigation process. They get law enforcement involved when you do a
Yes.
rape kit at the hospital. Why weren't any criminal charges pressed? Why was that?
Who says they're not getting ready to do that? Or they're not doing it already?
But it happened back in 2022 is my thing. How come if they are going to do it, why are they waiting so long to do it? Especially with sexual assault cases, there is a tiny window to press charges and do all of that. And you do have to get the state on board to do so. Like we were saying, that lady was saying.
We don't know if she declined to have something done, and then she just went this route and just sued.
In my opinion, if she got the rape kit done, a lot of that gets taken out of her hand. It then becomes a state issue. It's up to the state prosecutor to push charges or not.
Seems
And
like
if the my thing is, why didn't the state prosecutor pursue this?
because they probably talked to her and she be like she didn't. I don't know.
Even
I don't know. I don't know.
like because we watch this recap from I'm not a lawyer, but like she says in her thing, it's not the victim doesn't get a lot of say so and how those charges are going to get pressed.
I don't know. Who knows?
Mm.
But all I know is it's I don't people love telling on themselves.
So people are talking about Kendrick Lamar's songs, his disses to Drake. He talks about how the people around in Drake's circle are going to go down, and he brought up DJ Academics as one of those people. So people are like, "Oh, is there more validity to Kendrick's claims in his songs? Is it not just story? Is it not just being stuff that's made up?" Because he constantly talks about how Drake's about to get raided, like constantly.
Maybe, who knows? We act like these guys don't know each other. These guys hang in the same circle.
That's what
And they hang
he's
and the
saying.
same people run around. These dudes pass the same girls, the same people around.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably, when that person mad at the other person, they probably talk to them about what's going on with the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody dry snitch. Everybody tells. We live in a time of telling. Is it for is it for money or clout? We live in a time of telling. So I wouldn't be shocked if he knows a lot about the situation.
It's just very interesting to watch that fall. And then last but not least, Marjorie Taylor Greene versus Jasmine Crockett. I lived my life when I saw that clip. I lived my life. Basically, they're having some kind of meeting with the representatives. Marjorie Taylor Greene throws out there that she can't understand what Jasmine Crockett is talking about because she has on these eyelashes. And she took it there, and I blame Marjorie Taylor Greene for everything else that happened afterwards. So, but basically, AOC comes to Jasmine's defense and is like, "I want those comments, stricken from the record." They're not supposed to go after each other in terms of character like that. They're not supposed to talk about each other's appearances or anything like that because this is formal record. They're federal employees. And it's Marjorie Taylor Greene being like, "I don't think I said anything wrong. Are her feelings hurt? I don't think her feelings are hurt." So I forget who the representative is that's overseeing it all, but he's like, "Okay, you get the comments." Gomer. He's like,
Comer.
Comer. They do agree to get the comments rescinded, but he doesn't say anything about Marjorie Taylor Greene's outrageous behavior. Jasmine Crockett then goes, "Well, I need a little bit of clarification. So if I say that you have a bleach blonde, bad built, butch body, is that something that is against character? I would like to know what's clear, because it was clearly a situation where Marjorie Taylor threw out something and they kind of just let it fly. So Jasmine throws out something. They don't let that fly. All of a sudden now it's a problem. They're telling her to calm down. She's being aggressive. Comer is like, "I don't even know what you just said." It was hysterical. And the fact that she had that in the chamber made me very proud. Did you know Jasmine Crockett grew up in Missouri and then did all her schooling in Texas, out of Houston, Texas? She's a Texas rep.
Okay.
So this is a black woman from the South.
Yeah. Okay.
Or well, Midwest and then the South. I just found it hysterical.
I'd have said horse face, but that's just me.
I don't know what they expected to happen. And a lot of discourse that's happening now outside of everybody being like, Jasmine Crockett ate that. There's a lot of white people that have a lot of opinion articles out right now that are like, both parties need to not let this chaos reign. Jasmine Crockett needs to be more like Michelle Obama. She needs to be, go high when they go low. And it's a lot of people being like, no, she's addressing microaggressions that happen. The fact that she was being scolded and reprimanded and Marjorie Taylor Greene was not is also indicative of the behavior that's happening there. Jasmine did what she needed to do. Sometimes you got to meet them where they are. And that's what she did. And I agree with that sentiment.
I don't see nothing wrong with it. Horseface started it.
I agree.
So, and she starts to, first of all, none of them don't like her anyway.
Right.
So, the fact that she said it, they just probably moved on like this bitch again. And then when Crockett said something, it was like, okay, now we got to stop it because if we let Crockett say something, then Horseface gonna say something back, and now we be stuck here with these two arguing all day.
Mm-hmm.
But they should have said something when Horseface said it first.
I agree.
But I don't think they thought she was gonna say anything back
Oh, they thought Jasmine was just going to take it. She was just going to
and
eat that.
probably say something in front of the cameras later,
Mm-hmm.
but not during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because you notice they say shit to Marjorie Taylor Greene all the time.
So
They
true.
call her all type of stuff when she walking by. Her
So
own party
true.
does that.
So true.
Like some dudes like, shut up. You're like, oh God, you again.
I just really love that she was ready at the hip for that. Stayed ready already, all the time.
So,
Also, AOC's New York accent dropping in there was great. Icing on the cake. I loved it. With her oh girl, oh baby girl. No, no.
someone said, baby girl. What's baby girl? What's that mean? Baby girl.
I
But
loved it.
the Democrat dudes were just laughing their ass off the whole
Laughing
time.
their asses off.
Because as soon as it started, they're like, okay. Yeah. And I think Raskins whispered to Comer or something like, you know it's about to go left, right?
Right, it's got to be Raskins who said
He
that.
was like, you didn't
'Cause
say
he had to stop himself from smiling too hard on the camera.
he looked at him like, he looked at him when Marjorie Taylor Greene said a thing. He was like, you know, if you don't say nothing,
He said it's about to go. It's about to go.
It's going to get handled.
Yep.
All right. It got handled. And then when some white lady on the Republican side be like,
Mhm.
this is not called for. And then all the Democrats are like, really? Now you're going to talk?
Right. Now
you
it's a
gonna
problem.
Now it's a problem? Now it's a problem. But you sat here when Horseface down there said something first.
Right.
You didn't say anything. But now it's a problem? Get out of here.
So crazy. Anywho, love that. That was a highlight for me. And that's it for That Happened. There was just a lot apparently that happened in this last week. I don't know why. Maybe full moon. Onto the rest.
Yep. Moving on to Love in Paradise,
Yes.
episode 4. Kyle and Anika.
What were your thoughts?
Where do I start?
Do you want me to remind you?
There was an awkward ass kiss.
Yo. So bad.
That
So bad.
you said something when you was watching it that maybe she's doing this for the money.
So the way the show has been showing this is like against all the signs that Annie herself is pointing out are major issues with Kyle. She's like, I'm still going to pursue this relationship. And when they have that awkward kiss, I'm like, there's no way. Because right before he gets ready to kiss her and he's explaining his point system on what kind of kiss they can have, she looks dead ass at that camera. She looks straight at the camera. Like,
the look she gave to the camera, like, you know what?
this is bullshit.
I'm done. I'm done. I can't.
Sue me if you need to. There's
yeah.
what?
I'm done. I'm looking like a true clown out here. I'm done.
I posited the theory that maybe she's contractually obligated to finish out the rest of this storyline for the show. Like she agreed to do this, and then I feel in that first meeting she was like, no, nope, I'm done. But I think she already signed away to complete the season. So she was like, okay. I guess.
She looked at the camera. She's like, either you're going to give me more money or I'm stopping it right here. I'm done. I am officially done.
She brings up
Sue
way
me.
too many clear points that this is not going to work for her to then go, yeah, I'm going to keep dating him. Like, it's not, for me, it's not convincing when she's like, but I'm going to see it through. Like, it feels like she's like, but I have to see it through.
So then we also got into a discussion about how he was dressed. I thought he was dressed better than he normally dresses ever.
They're trying to have a romantic date on a private yacht. It's a fancy dinner. We're talking like several courses. The table setup alone was indicative of what kind of scenario we were in. She's not dressed super formally, but she's also not dressed in a t-shirt and jeans. And that's all he lives in. Ugh. And then when she goes to take him to get grown people clothes, and he's like, "Oh, I need all the smalls. I need all the extra smalls because I want to show off my curves." What? And then I figured out what he meant by curves. His dick print. So
Women aren't
insane.
women aren't turned on by dick prints.
They are not.
They might
They
talk.
are not.
They might talk about it and snicker, but I don't think. Then again, I don't know what the hell women want. Who knows?
Not him. So,
But back, yeah.
Reddit sleuths have found a lot of the chat rooms and forums that he's a part of as a donator, because apparently that's a whole industry. Where he talks about some of the customers he's had, and he does not talk highly about them. If you're thinking about racism and misogyny, correct. Check and check is in both of those conversations, allegedly attributed to him. So, I'm not surprised. Not surprised.
Back to the boat thing. He was better dressed than me because I just had on some jogging pants
Calvin acts like that,
and some
but
sneakers.
no.
I'm not getting all dressed up to go on a boat.
I would like to reiterate that Calvin is a black man from the South, and he likes to dress. I like how he's pretending he doesn't,
I'm
but he does.
not getting dressed up. I love to go out in jogging pants and a hoodie if I can all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's my preferred outfit of the day. And that's pretty much it for those two. So they're in a store. They get into it about him not wanting to stop donating, and then she runs out crying into the mall.
Well, yeah, basically, yeah, that's exactly it. She posits that she thought them being together would mean that he was going to slow it down because they're trying to build this life together. And that and the conversation around the kids. He's like, "We need to take a trip somewhere together," and she's like, "That's cool. Well, we're gonna do it with our kids," and he's like, "They'll be fine. Like, they'll take care of themselves." And then she's like, "What if we have a baby?" And he's like, "Well, we'll just put the baby in the crib." And she's like, "All day? How do you think it works with a baby? You provide all this to have a baby. You don't know what it's like to raise a baby?"
No,
No, indeed.
no. The fact that she asked that question was stupid.
It was hilarious. Also, I think contractual obligation. So, on to the next couple.
Sean and Aaliyah. Pretty
Yes.
much Sean is looking through pictures of the past of Douglas,
Yeah.
and he's doing the sad song you get on the dog commercials while he's looking at the pictures, crying.
I will remember you.
Yeah, crying into himself.
Basically, he's like, this was all before Aaliyah, and it's showing pictures of him and Douglas, and he just keeps harping on how like Douglas was the polar opposite of Aaliyah, quiet, very submissive to him, and he loved that. And it's Aaliyah going, "That was never me. Like that was never me. I was always Aaliyah. I just did not know how to come to terms with being Aaliyah."
Pretty much, Sean feels like Douglas.
Is being erased.
Yeah, and like he feels like Aaliyah is Douglas with a bunch of city girls jumping in his body.
He he,
And
he
Cardi
feels
B.
like I think he's realizing more and more how much of a woman Aaliyah actually is, and he is not comfortable with it at all. At all. He does not want to be with a woman. But he also does not know what to necessarily do in this particular situation because he wants to be supportive, but he also is not liking where it's going.
He knows what to do, but it's going to be hard to tell somebody that you help them find their true self, that you don't like the true self that they're becoming.
Yeah.
And walking away from that and knowing that that person has no one else.
Yeah.
So, but guess what, nigga? Got to figure out how to do it.
Guess what?
Life is hard. Moving on to Alex and
Adriano.
Adriano?
Yes. Alex has Adriano meet her cousin. Yeah. Yep. It's very interesting to me that when the cousin's there to ask Adriano a bunch of questions about the relationship, all of a sudden Alex is froggy. She's bucking. She's like, "Oh yeah, I don't like this, this, and this. I don't want this, this, or that." But when the cousin's not there, she's like, "Well, maybe."
I think
kind
it's
of.
because you have backup.
But
And
it's
if-
very interesting.
It's not really.
To me, it's interesting because
Watching her not.
Alex also is talking about how like she's her own woman and she makes her own decisions, but it's quite evident when she doesn't have her backup that Adriano has some influence over her.
That's that's the lie to yourself.
I agree.
That's why she's still there.
I agree. Adriano's still gung ho about moving to Australia and having his threesomes, and Alex is still the exact opposite of that. And then we add on to that some religious contention because Alex is religious. She's a Christian. Adriano is not.
And apparently, she found that out over dinner. She somehow never asked that question when they were just talking on two and two. Maybe the threesome was so distracting that she never had time to ask any other questions about other stuff that he might or might not like.
Right. It was just very interesting that the cousin slid it in there instead of being like, "Are you religious?" She was like, "Will you pray over the dinner?" Because it's just automatic for her and Alex. And Adriana was like, "I am not about that at all."
That'd throw me off a little too.
Okay.
But then I'll be like,
Wait, throw you off from like the cousin's perspective or Adriana's perspective?
the Adriana's perspective, I'm getting ready to eat something. Like, let's pray. I'm like, oh, okay, that's
But it's not even let's pray. It's you pray.
yeah,
You pray.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, thank you for the food, amen.
Right.
I don't know what you want me to say. And I come from the South where they pray sometimes before they eat.
Right. But the other weird curveball, though, to me, was this whole conversation around kids that to me came out of nowhere.
I also used to hate when they used to give me the the honest to pray. I'm like, I didn't want to do this. You want to pray, you pray over the food. Don't nominate me because you don't want to do the work.
So
And
random.
then get mad at the grace that I say because it's not long enough.
I think Calvin got triggered.
Yes,
So
I did. Sorry.
there's also a part in there where Alex's cousin in her confessional is like, yeah, Adriano is a hoe and he's not going to change his hoe ways until he contracts an STD and his dick falls off. So I don't know what Alex is waiting for. It's like, wow. I mean, you're not wrong, but also, okay. What a way to put this. What a way to illustrate that point. And then, yeah, the random curveball that Alex throws Adriano when he starts talking about them building a family together. And she's like, well, I want kids. And how are you going to deal with kids? Because you are not empathetic to my issues. And I was like, where is this coming from? What are we talking about right now? She's like, you don't validate my feelings in certain situations. How are you going to be there for children? And I almost want to be like, because they're children. You're an adult. But okay. Yes. Sure. And again, there's a gazillion signs that they do not have the same intentions for a relationship.
Her kids talk didn't make sense
It
neither.
was so. It started out being like, I need you to be emotionally available for these children, and then turned into, but they will be black kids. How are you gonna deal with the racism? Like it was it was very varied and not concise. Like she didn't clearly say this. She just implied it a lot, and I don't even know if Adriano caught on.
Because she made it up in her head. She just made up the question on the fly. It was nothing she really wanted to do.
Confusing.
Sound like the producer say, asked about kids.
But yeah. Yeah. It didn't make sense. And we ended with them in the same predicament of not seeing eye to eye. Luke and Madeline, it's continually gross. Continually gross. Luke says he spent 30 grand on a designer and a manufacturer for a sunglasses business he's trying to get off the ground. He dropped another 10,000 from his $20,000 from his 401k that he cashed out to get 300 prototypes done of these sunglasses that are lame. They're sunglasses that they look like they're all aviator frames and you can fold it. He's like, it'll make it look like a medallion. It does not.
So
But he's hyped.
he could have kept that money, saved it, moved to Colombia, and put some of that money into the business that's already working and off the ground. But no, he's just jealous of her.
Madeline is like, why why wasn't I consulted when you did all this? First of all, I just found out you lost your job and you've been without work for about a month. And now you're telling me you dropped money that we need on another business? Anyway,
First of all, he's a grown man. He's not gonna tell a kid
she is a kid.
about how he got laid off and now how they're gonna fend for themselves.
He then takes her to a coffee farm and I'm sorry, but I agree with her. When they get there, he's like, well, we don't really have the money like we used to live the high life, go to these clubs. So I'm taking her to a coffee farm. He took her to a place where she has to work. For for what? For what? They're planting things in the ground. She's like, no, this is terrible. Then he takes her to the spa portion of the evening where they put coffee grounds on your skin, which actually is a really good exfoliant. So that's actually really nice. But she's already done. Like between his insanity about not working at all and then dropping all this money on another project, then he drops on her, I'm also not moving to Colombia. Gotcha. Just kidding. Not moving down here.
Give me some titties.
Basically. And she's like, what the fuck do you mean? What are you talking about now? And he gives her this speech about how he lost the job, so he can't necessarily move down to Colombia right now. He doesn't necessarily say he's looking for work in America. He just implies a lot of his businesses are US based. Dumb. So she's mad about that as well. And he's like, I feel bad, but it is what it
Feels
is.
bad, but still not gonna give me some titties.
Also, I looked up this coffee farm because I was like, if he has no money, how is he buying all of this? Oh, he absolutely could afford it. It is less than $100 to do everything they just did.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I went to a
Amazing.
5-star spa in Thailand.
Kelvin, they had a tour of the farm. They
Yeah.
got to plant some stuff. They got coffee.
Yeah.
Colombian coffee in America is insanely expensive.
Because they lied to you.
I guess so. Then they got a spa treatment done. She got a massage plus the coffee grounds.
Yeah,
And then she went into a spring.
Yeah, I got
All for under $100.
Yeah, I did all. We did a lot of that stuff too.
Amazed.
I didn't want the soapy package. I just wanted the spa treatment and the what they do, the massage and clean out your pores. Because first they had us go in the pool. Then we got out the pool. We went and sat in the sauna. And then
What country is this? Japan?
Thailand.
Thailand.
And Zapata decided he want to keep pouring water on the damn coals, and it got extremely hot.
It creates steam. That's the point of the water.
We almost fucking passed out.
Oh my gosh.
And then we're like, if this door gets stuck, we're fucked. So we left him in there sweating like a slave. And once that happened, I think they had us take a shower or something, and then they gave us the massage. Then we did the spa treatment, and then who else wanted a soapy or happy ending or whatever other stuff they wanted, they can go get it done. But yeah, it was only maybe $100.
Okay, for all of that.
Yeah,
Amazed.
I had enough time to go spend the rest of my money on drinking.
Cool. You want to talk about Hoochie Daddies?
And then somebody almost fell off a speedboat. That was another great thing. But Hoochie Daddies.
Hoochie Daddies. We finally get a Hoochie Daddy challenge, an actual Hoochie Daddy challenge. They got to dance for the gram. Dance for TikTok. Basically, the episode kicks off with a heartfelt remembrance of loved ones past. Apparently, somebody on the crew, their grandmother just passed, and it happens to be on the same day as Cooley's mother's birthday, who also recently just passed.
Because they found out their daughters or grandbabies are Hoochie Daddies.
That is not true. So Woody brings balloons to do like a balloon send-off for these loved ones. Here's the thing. It's also pouring rain.
No
outside.
one told them how gravity works.
So they say these very, very loving sentiments. Cooley gives the prayer. She does a really good job.
You know what I'm saying? I don't thank you, God, for this day, you know what I'm saying? And all the stuff that, our parents, just help us get through this day, Lord, you know what I'm saying?
She actually did a really good job. But then they go to do the balloon release, and those balloons don't go nowhere because it's pouring rain. So
she sounded like DMX.
That's not her fault.
What you gave for this day? And our daily bread.
That's not her fault. Then we get into the challenge. They have to come up with a duo TikTok dance that Woody and this Houston rapper that is a special guest can do for this Houston rapper's song. So they get paired off. They got to come up with ideas. It is hilarious. Cooley and Ty Jack get paired, and they do a capable dance. It's pretty decent. 24K and Nelly get paired. It is hot garbage and a train wreck. Nelly can dance. 24K cannot and easily gets lost. Nothing is synchronized. They don't know what's going on. Mino and Raw get paired, and these are supposed to be the deadly duo. These are people who have a dance background. They call themselves the porn stars. They come up with a dance, and it works. It's like a little skit, and they dance. It's pretty cute. Then we get Moni and Baby, who I think should have won. They have their own dance. We have Crumping. We have Breaking Bones. We get a little bit of body thrones everywhere. The energy is high. And while they are a crowd favorite, they ultimately don't win. That win goes to Mino and Raw. And the winners get to steal a point away from one of their fellow Hoochie Daddies.
So for me, I watched the dance off.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew the people who should have won weren't gonna win, so I walked away. And the end.
So when they get their confessionals, Moni Montana is like, well, they did say best TikTok dance, not best dance. And if it is for Woody and that rapper to do, they're not going to be able to duplicate what what her and Baby did. So she gets it on that level. But we also see how much it means to Moni Montana that she win. When Mino takes her point from Moni Montana, because Moni Montana was in a deep lead, it really affects her. And she's like, I just really want to win this. And I know it is what it is. This is all competition in the game. But it really hurt to see my lead get taken away like that. So we get that moment from her. Raw takes her point from Nelly. And this is when I got confused because we get Nelly's confessional where she plays victim. She's like, I don't know why they keep coming for me. Anytime they have to take a point away, they're always going to take one of my points away. I don't know what that's about. They're constantly just going to try to keep me down. I would like to rewind back to a previous episode where she straight up tells 24K to take her points, and she don't care who takes her points because she is that bitch. She's going to be the one who wins. It doesn't matter how many times people come after her. She talks them all into doing this to her because she always has to be like the hardest one for no reason. So they're doing it. And now she's like, it needs to stop.
Sitting in a ghetto thinking about all my homies passed away. Kenny Penny wins over triple gold.
So Woody tells them there's still plenty of time to take a win. There can't be. This is episode 7. I'm pretty sure there's only 10 episodes. How? Is there going to be a situation where you can take all the points from somebody? Because that's crazy. Anywho, moving on to Love During Lockup.
Somebody took my boy from me. My best friend.
Where's your Love During Lockup song, Calvin?
Oh. Love, 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 love during lockup.
The worst.
Gotta throw the Master P in there.
I'm sorry for anybody who's wearing headphones listening to this.
Teeny Rob. So, Teeny breaks the news that Rob won't be coming home soon.
To her children, yes.
No one cares.
Basically.
Then she talks to her mom. Her mom's like, I see you got all the cameras down. Or off, I guess. She's like, yeah. So you ready to go? Let's go spend Rob's money. And then you get a confession with Rob. I don't like the way she's spending money, so I gotta go over here and gamble. I didn't know they were gambling like that.
He's like, I gotta go to the poker table to get a grant.
I didn't know they were gambling like that in jail. That's crazy. And he talks about how she said she's gonna be submissive.
He wants her to be more submissive. That's what he said.
But she talks too damn much.
She told him that she's an equal partner, and he's like flabbergasted.
But
because she's spending his money.
She signed the deal to be submissive and shut up.
I disagree.
Yeah, she did. When she said she didn't want to work and sit in the house and be a housewife and spend his money, that's when she signed that agreement.
Actually, he wanted her not to work. That's what she said at the beginning because she had a job. He didn't want her to work. He wanted to be the provider.
But she also said she wanted a man to provide for her and take care of her.
Yeah, she did say that.
So she got one. So
but my thing
that person's going to have some demands that they want.
But my thing is, he also signed and agreed to her behavior. I don't think this is brand new behavior.
I don't think he did.
I think he did. But I don't think he's happy about it.
I think, first of all, it is you can only do so much from jail. So how much your mouth are you really hearing if you're in jail? Because you could just go, this call is about to end. Boop.
No, remember he has a cell phone. He got a cell phone, remember? That's what that Bluetooth is in his ear.
I can just lie and say, they took my phone away from me.
But that's not him.
Somebody took my phone from me.
They've got it painted that he's watching them 24/7 and he's calling her at a drop of a dime. That's how they have it painted. that he's constantly in communication with her.
Yeah.
It just cracked me up that he was like, she be spending all my money and I don't know how to stop it. Like that was that was his complaint. She won't listen to me and she will just spend this money. And it's like, yeah,
But
yup.
whatever. All I know is when he get home, that mouth better be shut.
No,
Whatever. She
not
ain't
gonna
gonna be there
happen.
like, yeah, okay,
He's already home. So he's been out for about a year.
yeah. And she's still running her mouth. He got a missus somewhere. It is what it is.
I don't know what any of that means.
He's got a side chick.
Wouldn't that be more expensive?
Nope.
How is it not? That's two people you paying for.
That don't mean you paying for the side chick.
You don't think he's paying for the side chick? If he's got one, you don't think he's paying for a side chick?
As desperate as I hear you women out here, some women just want time. I'm just going off what y'all say. It's hard in the streets.
I'm going off of his personality. He likes to flash that cash. I don't see him being like, yeah, you take care of me.
Whatever. On to Andrew and Candace.
Honestly, this is my favorite couple.
Who the hell is this couple?
This is the guy who proposed to the girl was clearly using him for all of the money.
Why is this your favorite couple?
Because it's the most clear cut. there's no other things
so
happening.
pretty much, Candace is just like.
She gets out. Candace is out. She's about to go to her transition house.
And she's pretty much just like the chick from last year. I should have got her name. Anywho.
Yeah.
She comes out, she gives him a kiss, and she's like, "Okay, I'm kind of uncomfortable. Could you, like, you don't have to move away, but you don't, I don't.
I don't know if
close.
you clocked all the body language, but Andrew is clingy, clingy.
So
level DEFCON 5 clingy.
I can be level DEFCON 5 when I'm paying for everything, and I bought you a whole new fucking car, and an apartment, and got you a ring. Oh, by the way, I furnished an apartment that you can't even goddamn stay in.
But he would never use that against her. You know what I mean?
Oh, by the way, you got a purse. It don't matter.
His personality is very much please the other person.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Regardless of how it affects me. Please the other person.
Whatever. Suck it
Which
up, Buttercup.
she is like, great. Let me give you a list of things I need.
Whatever.
But yeah, he gives her the ring. She says yes to the proposal, even though there's this whole standalone about how like she's not used to all this affection. She's happy for him, but she's a little overwhelmed by all of this. He gives her all the gifts that she wanted, and it looks like she reluctantly gives him kisses. It's hilarious. And then she shares that like she did not initiate him spending all this money on her. He did. He initiated it. They were talking and she mentioned that she would like some pillows and he was like, "Oh, I'll get them for you." And then was like, "Oh, let me get you these other things." And then she was like, "Well, let me give you a list of things that I need." And he was like, "All right, I'll go ahead and get those for you too." Which I believe. I believe it.
Whatever. Rick and Samantha. Rick shows
This is my other favorite couple.
His niece and his nieces, I guess the photos from the reunion party,
Mm-hmm.
house party.
The reunion house party where Rick was the flavor of the night.
And so they quickly do a scene back to the party, and he's talking to this one lady.
Did you hear how they triggered that scene though? It's his nieces going, "Well, how popular were you?" They already know that all these ladies
well,
wanted.
Yeah, I had a couple ladies. One who wanted to.
They were
be with me,
disappointed.
Disappointed, and one wanted to be me. Then they go back to one girl. So yeah, I was gonna ask you if you wanted to be with me, but I'm okay with you being married.
You make it sound like she's throwing up in her mouth constantly.
Yeah, she literally talked to you and was about to throw up and caught herself.
Her eyes are definitely glazed over. Yes.
And he's like, "Huh, you don't say."
He apologizes to her.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what he says. And it's like, he's a very sensitive guy. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to." And she's like, "No, don't apologize. You know, you just that you're a hot commodity, my man."
Yeah.
That's not what she said. She was 3 sheets to the wind. She was 3 sheets to the wind.
That vodka's coming back real fast.
But Sammy calls and Rick reiterates, "I told everybody at the party that I'm engaged. I told them all. They all know."
So Sammy is getting upset because she wants Rick to come in Idaho, and Rick's like, "I don't have any funds."
Rick's in Arizona.
So They go back and forth about that.
But she also wants to be married. They're already engaged, but she wants a hard set date of when they're getting married.
So instead of coming up with that answer, Rick goes and plays pickleball with a friend.
Friend in quotation marks, because Calvin doesn't think this friend likes.
No, this friend only keeps Rick around to feel better about himself.
His friend is an asshole, but maybe he's a friendly asshole.
No, he keeps him around to make him feel better about himself.
Yeah, okay.
Anytime he feels stupid, let me call Rick and see how bad Rick's drunk ass is doing. Let me see what the drunk's doing. And that's pretty much how he goes on with his life.
He gives him good advice. He does give him good advice.
So we're just going to move to Ayanna. Forget Jamal. Ayanna.
You can't forget Jamal.
Yeah, we can. He's irrelevant to the story for this.
He's part of the story.
Yeah, whatever. Vaguely.
God.
So Ayanna is doing, I guess, her pre-sentence on the phone.
No, it's a sentencing hearing.
On the phone.
Yeah.
And she can't even. You know what? I blame the courts for this. I blame them.
Interesting.
I blame them. They know this was going to happen.
You blame the courts for a lot of.
I blame them.
A lot of things. Can Ayanna do any wrong? Apparently.
No, because.
So it's not uncommon for it to be virtual like that. It's not uncommon, especially after COVID. They did it because of COVID. So it started because of COVID, and then they've kind of continued it because it's a lot more convenient for all parties to just do it through the phone.
Whatever.
Especially in terms of scheduling. They can schedule a lot more of these if they're able to do it virtually like this.
So apparently Ayanna can be bothered to stand still for a home hearing. And her and the judge gets into it. Needs to say, like I told you, she'll screw herself.
So if you're watching that scene for Ayanna, you have to like pause it because it's fast. The only reason we know that Ayanna is not doing what she needs to be doing while on this hearing is because we're reading the court transcript. They show flashes of the court transcript. And if you're good with that pause button, you can see the other sections that aren't highlighted by the show. And you can see that it's the court going back and forth with Ayanna over and over again about like, are you paying attention? Are you hearing me? What are you doing right now? Why are you so distracted? And it's Ayanna coming up with a lot of things, but also complaining about a lot of the decisions they're making for the sentencing. Like she's like, why do I keep paying you money? Every time I come to court, I got to pay more money. And they're like, yeah, that's how court works. Like this is what?
Like, if you don't want to pay, don't get in trouble.
And
which makes perfectly good sense.
It's Ayanna coming out first being like, this judge was mad disrespectful. But it's like, girl, no, you definitely were too.
First of all, it sounds to me like the person that was doing her case just hung up and just let her defend for herself.
There was nothing to defend because they were already at sentencing. So there's nothing to defend. That means they already came to agreement about guilty.
But
and now she's dealing with sentencing.
Have a lawyer present.
The lawyer was present, but he can't muzzle her.
Sounds like he hung up or mute and went and did something. Maybe the judge should have yelled at him because evidently he wasn't present when things were going on.
Typically, the lawyer during sentencing doesn't really say much because there's nothing they can really counter.
But at some point, he says, "Hey, can I talk to my client offline right quick, ma'am, sir?"
Put your feet in the lawyer's shoes. Do you think that conversation would change anything with Ayanna?
No, I do it once.
No, exactly.
I do it once, and then if it keeps,
what's to say that lawyer didn't already have that conversation once?
The judge would hear boop
because we only get the tail end of that. Who's to say that lawyer didn't pull her aside at the beginning and was like, I need you to act right. And then, I need you to listen and not say shit. And then it unfolded the way it did. And he was like,
the judge would have heard, boop, I think your lawyer just hung up. I'm trying to contact them again.
I'm just saying, we already heard the pain in this lawyer's voice when he was explaining she was going to have to do 15. She was going to have to do 15 days in jail. He was already like, listen, you have so many. There's so many hits against you. You are lucky for the 15 days. That's the best case scenario for you.
Instead of 15 days, she talked herself into 15 days in prison, 75 days house arrest, and 4 years probation.
No, that was already on the table. She says she wasn't aware of all these addendums, apparently, of the 75 days. She was up for 4 years total. She was up for 4, because that's what, if you go back and watch the stripper episode, when she's on the phone with him, he says you can be in prison anywhere from 15 days to 4 years. And that was part of her complaint about how she can't be away from her kids for that long. She's hoping for the 2 weeks. And then it became more focused that it could possibly be the 2 weeks. Then she had a problem with the 2 weeks. That was too much. What
L-
was she gonna
looks
do?
like to me, if you're so afraid of not being in your kid's life, how about you stop doing dumb shit?
Which is what the court and her mother both said. But me and Calvin both had different opinions or perspectives about what exactly the court is doing. I felt the court was being mad lenient, given her history with them of giving her only the 15 days to have to serve, doing the house arrest and then doing probation. I thought they were being mad lenient, but Calvin disagreed.
And then with all the stuff that she's doing, I think the court is setting her up so they can throw the book at her. Her ass is gonna be gone for about 15 some years.
My only
And
counter to
the
that,
reason I say that because, like you said, they're being lenient. They know this in their minds. This is her last time. In their minds, so we're gonna give her something we know she can't do, which is stay on house arrest 75 days and do 4 years of probation. We know she's gonna break the probation. So when she do, we just gonna give her whatever we spend the bottle on and the number stops. That's what we're gonna give her. If we put up 15, 25, 30, we're just gonna blindfold throw a dart, and whatever that dart hits closest to, that's what we're gonna give her. And it's nothing she can say because we give her chance after chance after chance.
they put contingencies of what happens if she breaks all of this in her sentencing. So it won't be a surprise. It won't be a dartboard.
It's gonna be a dartboard because she's gonna say something and do stuff. They're gonna add time, Javon. What part of did you see in her that say she's gonna sit there and just shut up and let them do what they're gonna do?
Here's why I counter this. One, if they wanted to throw the book at her, they had tons of time. So there's a sarcasm article that goes into all of Ayana's criminal history. It's extensive. It's not it's not short, and it's pretty it's oh, what's the word? It's right next to each other. Consecutive. It's consecutive. It's not like there's huge breaks. It's one right after then another of her either being drunk and driving without a license, or getting into fights. Like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12. If they were going to throw the book at her, this was absolutely the opportunity to do that. Driving while intoxicated. If they were going to do that, in my opinion, they would have did it right there. Especially with her throwing attitude at the court the way that she was, and for them to still say 15 days. So to
And
me, it
I
felt like they were trying to be lenient. Most people, if they break their house arrest or their probation anyway, get the book thrown at them. That is part of the contingency of them being lenient. So they automatically are going to extend and make it a harsher sentencing when they don't abide by that initial sentencing.
so
That's also automatic.
so
But the only thing I don't agree with you is that they're doing this because they want to do this. Because if they wanted to do all of that, they could have did it.
I'm I think the jails are full right now.
Oh,
I think
okay.
they're full right now, and
Okay.
even they can't put her there.
So you're saying their capacity is limited right now. So they're
Yeah,
like, even though we want to throw the book,
yeah.
we don't have the room.
There's a reason they can't. They're not sending her up the creek
Okay. You don't think it's out of the kindness,
because
kindness of their hearts?
the 15. I don't think she's going to prison. She's probably gonna do.
No, she does. So
I think she can do the 15 days. It's gonna be like. It's gonna be jail, but it's not gonna be like.
she was booked into Chester County Prison August 8th of 2023 and was released the 23rd of August in 2023. That's 15 days to the day.
So it sounds to me that they just sat her down because they can't put her away long enough because they don't have
You're saying the space, do
the
all that.
space right now. But they're building another jail. And the day that shit gets running, the day she looks at somebody the wrong way, she's gone.
Well, but that day is not today. But she is still pissed. She's still pissed that one, she has to pay a fine. Her fine's about like $1,500. That she has to do any time whatsoever for what she feels is not that big of a deal, which is driving while high, even though she's not supposed to be driving while anything. And this is not her first time doing all of that. But whatever. She just feels like they want to be in her business because they want to be in her business. And she's pissed. She feels like the judge was against her. Life is against her. Why are they victimizing her? She gets on the phone with Jamal. And I can't help but agree with Jamal, who's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yes, they can be absolute dicks, but They have all the power. I don't know what you think is going to happen or why you think it should be fair.
I get what Ayana is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have cup holders in a car if you don't want me to drink and drive?
But she wasn't drinking.
Why do we have ashtrays in a car if you don't want me to smoke and drive?
They don't put ashtrays in the car anymore.
Yeah, well, maybe she had an old ass car that had an ashtray.
That's very possible.
Who knows? I'm just saying. If you don't want me to smoke, don't have ashtrays or have a window I can put it down and pluck out my ashes, and don't have cup holders in my car where I can put a drink in. If you don't want me to drink and drive, that's all I'm saying.
Right.
See, that's the
You
setup.
want a rape victim to take accountability for being raped,
That's the
which
setup.
Ayana can't take accountability for driving
First of
while
all,
intoxicated.
don't put that evil on me. I like how you just went uberly dark.
I'm just saying, we had a whole conversation where you felt like that girl shouldn't have been there in the first place. But
No.
Ayana,
No, all I said was she saw two dudes standing at the door who's normally not there when you're there at this dude's house. You should have been like,
they never
I should've
established that
come
they're
back.
not normally there. She was just surprised to see them. She didn't say she didn't know who they were, period. She was just surprised that they were there. That's all it said.
Okay.
But I just find it interesting that for Ayana, you're like, they set her up.
I didn't think she. I didn't think she knew the guys. First of all, let's not rehash old news.
You brought that back up.
We'll talk about that offset.
Offset.
You just sure. Anywho, like I said, she's pretty much going down the river. We will see what
Going
happens.
down the river.
We will see what happens when she gets at the end of the river.
Well, now her concern is because she has to do probation, how is that going to affect Jamal coming home to her? Because typically you can't be living with somebody who also has cases.
So that's good for Jamal. He can
find a new baby mama?
Find another baby mama and move on. And
correction from last episode. Calvin was right. The best friend is a baby mama.
Booyah. Bang, bang.
Hilarious. Lucky number 5. It's ridiculous. Anyhow.
So here how the
this man has zero money.
Baby mama setup went.
It's alleged. It's not confirmed.
So he was with somebody.
Allegedly.
Then he cheated on that person.
With another person.
Let's
give him letters. So he was with Lady A and then cheated on her with Lady B. Then left Lady A to be with Lady B. Then cheated on Lady B with Lady C. Gave a baby to Lady A, though. Didn't give a baby to Lady B right away. Starts dating Lady C, who is best friends with Ayana. Starts cheating on Lady C after giving that lady a baby with Lady B.
The lady that he was
Lady B then gets pregnant.
With previously before Ayana's friend.
Then Lady B gets pregnant. So that's now 3 baby mamas. And then there's a Lady D somewhere who also gets pregnant. And is also not Ayana. Where Ayana fits in all of this, I don't know how he was juggling all these people.
The reason Jamal's mom was like, "Are you the mistress or are you the girlfriend? Or what number mistress are you?"
She never asked if she was a girlfriend. She just asked which mistress she was.
So,
but again, this is also alleged. That whole lineup is alleged, so not confirmed.
Allegedly true, and pretty much, what else stood out for the week for you? God damn, I can't even talk.
For the week.
For the week.
Ashley Madison. Netflix has a documentary for Ashley Madison. If you remember what that is, it still exists apparently. It's still up and running. It was a website for married peoples to have affairs, to meet other people who were down to have an affair.
So basically, if you've been in a marriage for like 15-some years, they gave you the ability to mingle and meet people.
They didn't put a time limit on your marriage. It just said if you're married.
Just like you.
Because
everybody needs a break.
The way that the founder explains it is like they were helping relationships. They were helping marriages and homes with this service. Because they're like, there's a monotony that comes with being monogamous.
Yep.
And we're providing a solution where you can meet somebody, no strings attached, to have your fun, and then go back to your family. But here's the thing, it's lying. You're also lying.
You're not lying.
How are you not lying?
Because Ashley Madison is hooking you up. You're just going and mingling.
But you are participating in it. It's lying. And what took me out is there is a couple in there that functions. They're happy as an open couple. Like they both agree consensually to see and have sex with other people. They have their own ground rules for their relationship. And they point out that while Ashley Madison was a nice jumping off point for them, because it's how they met, they didn't like the lying that came with Ashley Madison. Because that was also part of Ashley Madison, was keeping secrets. That was their whole brand, was like, we're keeping a secret, we're helping you to lie. They talk about how extensively this service went with customer service reps that would beat around the bush when wives would call in to find out why they got these charges. How they created a lot of female profiles for for all of the male customers, because it overwhelmingly was more male than female users on that website. But also how they weren't true to even their consumer base. They would charge them extra to delete profiles, to do a full scrub, but they wouldn't delete the profiles. They would just take your money. Insane. And it was also like driven by this dude who really wanted the industry to recognize them as a very serious service, and they never did. And then all this stuff leaked out. They pissed off somebody who was able to leak all of these sourced information that they were supposed to have gotten rid of to the public. There was this huge info dump around 2017, 2018, from Ashley Madison that listed names of all these users with their address and phone numbers, how often they were on the site, who they were talking to, and it came out big. And some of the interviews they have for the documentary includes the open couple, but we don't see them too much because they they didn't have to deal with the lying part of everything. But there's this Christian couple that's in there. They were Christian YouTube influencers, and his name gets dropped from the info dump, and it's how he treats it. And then it comes out Ashley Madison wasn't his first foray into cheating on his spouse. He had been cheating since he met her for ages, for almost the duration of their entire relationship. And the person who tells her this is his brother. His brother is like, you be honest with her or I'm going to tell her. And then he tells her.
Because he's in love with his brother's wife.
Maybe, but too bad, because she stays with this man. He does all of that. She talks about how she got upset, but that they prayed on it. I shouldn't laugh, but they prayed on it. And he did move out for a little bit, but they decided to work together and build their relationship back up. And they're still married today.
And she's now on Ashley Madison.
So the women one was Edward Madison.
Well, she's on Edward Madison now.
I don't even know if that still exists.
Would you use it?
No, I don't. I can't lie. Well, first of all, I'm a terrible liar. Secondly,
That's
the way
a
it
lie.
would eat me up.
That's a lie.
Huh.
You sleep like a baby. That's a lie.
What?
You lie all the time?
No, I don't. You lie all the time. You would do it.
That's irrelevant to the question I asked you.
How's that irrelevant?
Has nothing to do with it. It's about you. It's not about me.
Anybody who knows me knows I can't lie. Everybody who knows me knows I can't lie. My face turns red. I get itchy. I start giggling insanely. I can't lie.
That's you normally.
Exactly. There's no change.
Exactly. So how would they know you're lying?
Because they would know.
Whatever. Spoken like a true liar.
I just find it
A master of the
interesting
craft.
that you immediately throw it my way, which tells me that it's something that you're doing right now.
Thank you guys for listening to the podcast this week. Hopefully you enjoyed everything you heard and liked.
Did you have a show that stood out to you
Ashley Madison one was interesting.
from what you watched? You didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I watched majority of it.
Oh, and Bridgerton's out.
I missed that whole phase. I don't even remember it.
We were married and living in this house when it came when all that happened.
I don't remember none of that stuff. I'm not
Okay.
even gonna lie to you.
It was a big deal because of all of the .mil and .gov email addresses that were being
I'm not
used.
shocked by that.
There was a huge concern with cybersecurity because of all of the government email addresses that were used.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they did all that from their work email.
You didn't get any of the roundup emails that came down from the agencies like, hey, we just found out about this. We're looking into the security of it. Yada yada yada.
No,
Navy did it. Navy put out an all hands around this.
no, because I wasn't on it.
You don't have to be on it. I'm talking about the agencies. The agencies also had to also gave their own statements about how they were going to handle it because so many government emails were
Because
used.
everybody does their dirt from their work.
But that's what I'm saying.
But for some,
Your agency didn't send an all hands or anything?
I don't remember it.
Interesting.
The funny thing is, I don't know why people do all their badness on their work computer, because the way the government works and the military is that somebody's watching you do something. The person that's watching you being watched by somebody. The person that's watching you that watches somebody else is watching that person. There's like 3-4 levels of people watching what you do, and people watching them watch you, watch what you do on your government computer. So the fact that people get caught all the time, like looking at porn, child pornography, like San Diego, we had a guy. He was at the other command right in front of us. He was.
Where are you going with this?
He was watching child pornography on his work computer.
Ashley Madison is not a porn site.
But what I'm saying is, you said that they found a bunch of government emails.
Yeah.
The fact that they do that and they don't.
Think of the repercussions?
Yeah, and don't think somebody's watching them, and they just do it anyway.
I think
It's
they
just
think
crazy.
of it like, because you can sign up for like Washington Post. Like you can get editorials. You can sign up for editorials and stuff using your government email address. And in my opinion, especially around that time frame, we weren't doing cybersecurity training like that also for the agencies. So I think they were like, oh, this is not that big of a deal. I can get on. Because you could.
No, they did it because the other person doesn't have access to their work emails.
Well, that was absolutely one of the reasons. But also, I also think they honestly didn't think there would be any badness that came from it. Because remember all the security emblems that Ashley Madison had?
Which were fake.
We found out later they were just photoshopping that stuff, but they really pushed that they were like this super secure network when they weren't. But they absolutely pushed this idea of security to their users, only for all of this to unfold. There was a man who took his own life after his name was dropped from all of this. His workplace, he worked for a seminary. He was actually I want to say a priest. He was part of this religious seminary. And he could no longer work with the seminary because his name was attached to this scandal the way that it was. And then he ends up taking his own life. Like the way, the repercussions to all of the consequences to these actions and the way that they went about it, insane. It was so much. One of the other things that really stood out to me was there is a Canadian journalist who was assigned to the story for their respective editorial. And they really play on the fence of being like, these are just regular people and I don't judge them for having these affairs, to this is degenerative and this is this is debauchery. And just like goes back and forth, talks about like how it's unfair that a lot of these people just immediately were judged, but then also talks about how like they couldn't wait to get all their hands on the information around all of the debauchery that was happening in the first place. So I just found that to be very emblematic of Ashley Madison as a whole. On the one hand, most people in public are saying that this is a terrible idea. And then they're also saying, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to sign up. And I just really found it interesting that a lot of people in religion were attached to it.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Not shocked by that. They're the ones that consume the most pornography and all that stuff. So
It was really good.
it's not hard to fathom.
But that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nope.
Thank you for listening to We Like That podcast.
So we like that.
Go ahead and click that subscribe button. You know you want to. And rate us 5 stars. I'm Javon.
I'm Calvin.
Later, people.
And we're out.